Hello and welcome back to the Department of Tangled Messes today. What do we got to show you today? First we'll kind of show you, I mentioned in the last video how I had that spectra fiber that was securing the tree to the upright root stand. Today we're on the upside down root stand again. I have my main splits kind of figured out on for the roots here, and basically I have 9 splits, and they all have somewhere around, somewhere around 20 strands of double twist each. Some of them are 24. There might even be one that's 26 in there. I'm not really sure. They're pretty close to 20, most of them. And I'm creeping up on about 400 strands or so, 400 single strands in the roots here. But at any rate, here's those nubbins that I was talking about. I'm only using one right now because I couldn't fit 2 knots through the hole that I drilled in that brown piece of vinyl that you saw it going through, and I just can't fit 2 of them through there. And the extra one is really just for future use. I mean, since this tree is made from something that can last 1,000 years, maybe it will, and maybe eventually somebody will wear one of these nubbins out. It's hard to tell. I mean, spectra fiber hasn't been around that long, but it's the toughest stuff I can find to use for this. You can see right here on the spectra fiber where that screw that I used to tighten it up is trying to chew through that spectra fiber. In all the trees I've made past, I've never actually chewed all the way through this stuff and had it break, but this tree's pretty heavy, so it's putting a lot of weight on there. So but how I attach those is with a lark's head knot, and I've showed that in my previous videos, just in case you've never heard of a lark's head knot before. You should go look it up on the internet. It's a really cool knot that pulls tight on itself, yet is easy to remove. If I just pull hard enough, let me see. Yeah, if I just pull hard enough on one of these strands sitting out here, the knot will loosen up and I'll be able to slide it over the little nubbin right there. So it's lark's heads are really great knots. What else can we tell you? You can see I've got this bunch of wires here. I'm actually going through one by one and starting to get the twist on here. Here you can see I've got 2 strands of double twist that are going to cover this gap right here between the roots. Every once in a while I'll be able to twist up 2 roots next to each other and not need to have this in here to cover something ugly, but that's a rare case. It's hard to do, to get that just so. And because it's so hard to pull a split when you're twisting up things that are so close to each other, I like to have a little root shooting out right from the get-go, and have it coming out this way right here. And the best way to do that is to take a wire that's way on the bottom and then find the one that just fits right, so it's gonna pull in between those 2 roots. And I'm not gonna twist these up until I get all of my twist on the main splits started and looking good, because sometimes when you twist up one of these main splits here, things kind of go awry, and you want to be able to put some fine bends in right here to cover that gap right, because it's really hard to tell how things are going to come out right here in the center. It's just hard. And I did add a few more strands in here. Let me see if I can find one of them. Okay, you can see this one, right? Hopefully everything's focusing. I can't tell. This one right here It comes out. Let me get that out of the way. Here's one end of it. Let's see if I get in there and wiggle it. It moves in there. And then the other end comes out way over here. And when you're adding in strands like that, the thing you don't want to do is add one in like this, because when you twist these two things of roots tight, it's going to tend to want to pull that forward, and that could really lead to some ugly problems that are almost impossible to fix. And now it's not to say I never add in strands like I'm showing right here. I do, but what you got to do is you got to get it tucked in behind something way deep in there, so that when you twist these up, it can't pull forward. And I haven't added any strands in like this yet, but as I go along and get these started, you never know, I might. And then another thing that you need to watch out for when you're making ruts, where you're taking strands down over the bottom, this area here is really pretty easy to get nice. But where you're taking strands from the bottom and coming up to the top, it's real easy to get a gap that will end up showing, because when I twist all these, any gaps that are here are going to kind of spin forward and come around there. Now if you look at this side, you can see I'm doing a pretty good job, and it looks like when I get these twisted up, there won't be a huge gap in there. You can see my cover wire that I'm going to use later there, and it looks like I might have to twist that and get the two faces, get the two strand. Right now you can see it looks like just a single strand. I might have to untwist that a little bit. And it's not to say you could even take two strands of double twist if you get a big gap here. And it's hard to know. You got to kind of go about it slowly. And the way I'm getting this going is I'm just going strand by strand and slowly wrapping them around a few center strands, which I won't twist at all. I find that makes a really strong root if you try not twist any of those center strands at all. You do have to kind of get in there and get the kinks out of them though. Like right here, I'll just take that and get my pick in there and bend that straight. Just slowly but surely work them until they're pretty straight. And you can see what I got going on there. So this one I'm just going to leave it as it is for now. I'll just take it and throw a rubber band on it or something, and then I'll go on to this next one. So the next thing I would do is I would go in here and decide which one of these strands that are close to the gap here is going to go with probably that strand of double twist right there. Looks like the most likely one to mate with one of these. And then I'll get that up and I'll put it with this group, and then I will start trying to figure out how to get a twist started on these, just going through strand by strand until it looks something like the one next to it. So there you have it. Talk to you soon.